Good morning, everyone.
Yeah. Anybody out there?
Yeah, not right now, but people might see this later.
Yeah.
People have said that they, go back and watch some older episodes. 70 mentioned that.
Yeah.
But by the way, I don't want anyone to feel like they need to go watch everything or something.
No.
To like catch up or whatever. We repeat stuff a lot anyway. So I don't think it's worth it to just look at old stuff.
So I wonder where everybody is today.
I don't know, man, but losing 1 week could get people to lose morale. Not just morale, but like
momentum,
habit, memory that this is happening.
Yes. So you're feeling better?
Yeah, it's an issue with my back, and it's something I've been dealing with, I think, since teenage years, and the worst it got was like 8 years ago, and but I've improved the situation a lot since then. But what happens is I fix it with stretches and stuff, but then there's no pain. I forget to do stretches, then the pain comes back.
Yeah.
And so my most recent change, I now have, maybe you can see it from here. You see that thing right there?
Okay, yeah.
That is a list of all my stretches I have to do every fucking day.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I started that, and it's been doing well now. I do it all the time. I did it before this. And it needs to be the first thing of the day, not like after 3 hours of sitting on my ass.
Yeah,
and the way I imagine the stretches, philosophically, it's all the things that reverse the sitting position.
Oh,
the opposite of the sitting position.
Yeah.
So like, here's us sitting.
Yeah.
And one of the main things is to fucking do that.
Yeah.
It's called
Bend it the other way.
From yoga.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Well, that's not something I have back problems, but they're different, mostly from
because your job isn't sitting.
No,
and then your hobbies are not sitting either.
No.
So for me, my job and my hobbies are sitting.
Yeah. The bigger problem, my legs just ache by the end of the day because I'm always on my feet all the time.
Yeah.
But and then my back, I had some bad back problems there for a while, but I've been doing really good for the last few years, so I've got my fingers crossed too.
What have you been doing better? Is it like taking care of your body better during the actual
watching for the signs? A lot of times I'll get a little something in my back,
like a twinge,
and then it just gets worse and worse.
Yeah. But now you catch it much earlier.
Hey, what's that?
And now you catch it much earlier, and
I catch it earlier. I'll be more careful.
Yeah.
I won't push my limits at all.
Yeah.
I find muscle relaxers really, really work for me to help get rid of it, and I'm trying not to take them very often, but they really seem to help a lot too.
Yeah. Well, anyway, none of this is about chaos. Let's get down to business.
Okay.
So, Ernst is here. I didn't see it.
Oh,
sorry,
okay.
Ernst. I don't know how long you were here. This thing.
Not long. How's your back?
It's better. A lot better.
Good morning, Ernst.
Good morning, Brian. Morning, Rami.
So this thing doesn't beep at me when another person shows up. And my camera is right in front of the screen.
Yeah.
And Ernst was behind it. I didn't see anything.
I was trying to get your attention.
Were you doing this?
Yeah, that kind of.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess it's just the three of us now then.
We don't have
so
70.
We got.
The last time we talked, we were planning to talk to 70 next, but he's not here.
Yeah.
So what do you guys want to talk about? Should I try to look for stuff, the unresolved? Oh, also, Edward is a crucial part of like a lot of the things.
Yes.
We're trying to work on. So, and he's not here.
Yeah, he's got the webpage up, I guess now, eh?
Yeah, let's go ahead and look at that. Let me put it on the screen. Yeah, we could be telling him what to change. How do I do that? Let's see. Present, share screen. There we go. Okay. Well, first thing, for some reason, the logo is way far to the left. We need to work on this.
Yeah.
I don't even think AI should be mentioned. It's not a core thing.
Well, it's pretty essential to it.
Yeah, right.
What is it? Is that Ernst talking?
AI is a core thing. That's what we're trying to say.
Well, here's one way it's not a core thing. And I remember Ernst asking for this feature. He said for people that don't care about AI and don't want to use it or whatever,
Yeah.
they should still be able to look at the data. And that means I gotta do a tangent real quick. We need to separate our terms for how we're talking about AI. So there's AI like a ChatGPT, and then there's the older stuff that we're also calling AI, but it's not AI. Older stuff like what Facebook uses to the algorithms that it uses to show us stuff. That's not actually AI, but people conflate the terms and call it AI.
Yeah.
So we have to have that basic feature. And one thing we can do different than like a Facebook is we can be completely transparent about what it's doing. We can even show them the code. Here's the algorithm we're using. If you don't want to use AI, here's what you can use. Here's what it does. So that's one way it's better than the other systems. And that's why, AI isn't a core feature. You don't even have to use AI.
Yeah, well, AI, what we consider AI now. I mean, search engines or any of your search tools, or you don't consider like Google to be AI?
No, it's not. And you can tell it's not because it gives you both things. So now when you do a Google search, what you'll see at the top is it says Google AI or something.
That's
and it's
right,
giving you an answer. And then it gives the what's called organic results, which is the other stuff. The stuff on the bottom, that's just the old algorithm stuff. It's fine to use the term AI on it, but that wouldn't make sense because it's not differentiating from what the other thing is.
Okay. Well, go ahead, Ernst.
I think AI and an algorithm and a computer program, they all have very fuzzy lines between them.
That's true.
Yeah,
so
I think
AI is just complex computer programming that we call AI to sell it. It's chat bots and research bots and stuff like that.
Oh, totally.
Then to worry about where the line is between them, I don't think is really useful to what we're trying to do.
Well, one way it's useful is if we want to be clear how we're communicating to the audience about what this thing is.
I don't understand.
Well, for example, if there's people that, let's say, don't want to deal with AI, but they don't know that an algorithm isn't an AI in the way they think of it, then we should tell them that clearly.
But the reality is AI is more of a label than any distinct type of computer program.
I don't want to give the impression that using a different system doesn't have biases, because even the simplest form of a search engine is still going to carry some
Of course
biases.
it is. It's actually part of the design is to create bias in the sense of hide some stuff, show other stuff, because otherwise you're just showing the same data as it was plainly before anyone edited it to show it to you.
Yeah. It has to be put in some kind of order.
Filtering is bias.
Yes, that's right. It's putting it in some kind of order, but at the same time that has bias, and there's just no getting around it.
Yeah.
And so
I'm not so 100% sure. I mean, I can't give you a plan, but I wouldn't rule it out.
Well, somebody come up with an unbiased way of searching, then that would be fine.
Well, I don't know if we're
index.
Yeah.
Even indexing, the people who work on indexes, actually, we could have Todd here talking about that. Those things have bias, and there's different indexes to try to have less bias in one way, and of course that means bias in another way.
The way I kind of see it is that you make a computer to do a certain thing a program, you make a program do a certain thing, and then if it doesn't show any bias and you want it to show bias, then you have to put that bias in there. If you're trying to make something like very scientific, the bias isn't going to be in there until it's put in there later by someone.
Okay, I think you're talking about a type of bias, which is like humans intentionally trying to add it. I'm talking about bias that even we don't notice we're doing. And I'm saying something more general too.
I understand.
Okay. This is a basic thing from statistics. There's always
humans do a lot below their own level of understanding.
Yep.
They taint everything they do with their values, and they don't really think about it. They're not really aware of it.
So what I meant about statistics is when you're doing statistics,
or they are, but still
you're necessarily hiding some data so that you can have an easier understanding of it, because it's too difficult for us to understand an array of 1 million data points across whatever. So we try to boil it down to some essentials, but every time we boil down, there is bias in there. You can't escape it.
All right, let's get on to something else here. I think we're kind of gone down a rabbit hole here with this.
Well, it's something worth saying on the site, I think, right here.
I think it's something worth considering. I don't think it's a rabbit hole. I think it's a fundamental.
I think it might be worth putting right in this paragraph, talking about bias. It seems to be a central role in at least the way Brian talks about things here. So anyway, let's talk about what this should say here. Let's maybe start from scratch. Do you like the concept of saying apolitical? Maybe that's worth it. I don't know.
I try to be apolitical. I think a proper, it's a funny thing to say about a site that wants to be so political, but maybe we should say unaligned is what I think I said before. So it's not like we're not political. We're just not aligned with any partisan groups.
Yeah, well,
so we're not aligned with the liberals. We're not aligned with the PC. We're not aligned with the NDP or the communists or the socialists or the bloc, or we're not aligned with anybody. But we are political. That's why I don't think saying apolitical is a good idea, because we are definitely political. We're just political in a different way than most of the world wants to be political.
We're not leaning on either side. So, another term is non-bias. I don't know if that's a better term there, but do we need to talk about that at all? I mean, why don't we just,
well, you should keep it in mind, I guess.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from, but if we're talking about we're holding an election, we don't say that it's a non-biased election. It's kind of like it almost should be without saying that this is non-biased. I don't know. I'm kind of I don't know where I'm going with this right now. I think I have to think about it a little bit. It's not coming to me right now.
I think I know where you're going with it. Did I just? Oh. I think I know where you're going with it. Let me put this on the screen. So this is what he has now on the site. Why? I'm not liking the way this is being displayed. It's too small. Okay. First of all, are we calling it a site? What kind of language should we be using? I have in my memory all the various short statements that Brian has used to describe chaos. Things like worldwide union and things like a layer of democracy.
Yeah, like a second layer of democracy is what I always say.
But do you also add the above all governments and companies, or that's some shit I've been saying?
I do sometimes.
Sometimes?
Yeah, I say over. A second layer of democracy over all the existing governing systems. throughout the world, something along that line.
I thought I was hearing earlier like a an advisory kind of voice
Yeah.
that speaks for the people that the government can listen to. When we start talking like that before, Brian?
Yeah, I don't know exactly which words to use.
Yeah,
we
yeah,
wanna-
me neither.
Do we want to say on that first page of the website, do we want to say what chaos is in the sense of how we're envisioning it? Or do we want to say that we're building it? Because the way Brian put the description for the KAOS Reddit subreddit, it was we're building this system. So it's making it clear we don't have it yet. So do we want to stick to that for the website?
Well, I think so, because we don't have anything tangible yet.
Okay. So building a database of public opinion without censorship. This is what I've been saying. Tell me if you like it. Or any kind of systemic control of ideas. That's how I've been saying it.
Another way I describe it is as a rating system for everything. It's like Yelp for everything.
So how about saying like Yelp? But lots of people don't know what Yelp is, so I don't know if that's helpful. Maybe Westerners know Yelp a lot. You know,
What is Yelp?
Oh, he doesn't know what Yelp is.
I heard of it before, but like it's a familiar word.
I don't think that works. Fucking
Don't
forget
laugh at me. I don't laugh at you when I see you.
No, I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at Brian for picking Yelp.
Oh, I get it. All right.
By the way, I have a lot of practice with, or a lot of experience with,
Yelp.
So I have two languages in my upbringing, you know.
Yeah.
And I've been in a lot of places, and I noticed that people have trouble. People that are just one language. Well, even my dad, he's two languages. Like my dad would have trouble avoiding using slang in an area that doesn't know that slang.
Yeah.
I have a lot of experience avoiding that. Yelp is a type of like slang. Only one area is going to know it. We want to try to use English that the whole world could use.
Yeah, yeah.
So we don't want to use slang from any particular area or.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't claiming that to be the best way to describe it. I was just we were just throwing ideas out there. So.
Well, say it again, but without the Yelp. You said a rating system.
A rating system for rating everything.
A rating system for everything. Maybe we could say like Yelp, and then I can try to find the other big famous Yelps and list them all. Then everyone who knows one of them could see.
I often say like Rotten Tomatoes or any of the different rating companies or rating organizations. A lot of them are run by the organization that provides the service. So if you go to you rate your Yelp driver, Yelp. You rate your Uber driver through the Uber app, right? Which is extremely biased and lots of problems with that. But we hope to replace all these different rating systems, right?
Yeah.
I think what we want.
Off topic. Go ahead, Ernst.
I think what we want to do is promote direct democracy, and that's the first thing we want to do. And
So-
the system, the KAOS system, is how we want to do it. But we need to remember that what we really want to do is promote direct democracy, and it's not a big change to go from here to direct. Like it's not a small change. It's not a small change. We should maybe. If you'll forgive me, we should maybe think of more unique ways of promoting that than trying to do what I've already, I think, said already exists. The database we're trying to build is the global internet. The bots are every single AI, and there are more of them all the time. So people can do everything we're promising that we're going to give them. They can do it now. And we need to look at ways, like we need to understand the movement from not direct democracy to direct democracy.
Yeah.
And we need to find ways that we can push that are actually going to be effective. And I think the best way we can do it is to build an organization, way different from you guys' vision, but to build an organization that supports collaborative businesses, make software where they can meet, where software that keeps the money true and stuff like that.
Like open source projects.
The what?
I think open source projects are, fit the description.
Absolutely. Open source and live on donations of people that this stuff works for. And then we can ask people, with open source, we can ask people to volunteer their time to build the software and stuff like that. That's what I think is how direct democracy is not just going to become popular, but it's going to find power. When it gets groups of people in the business world working together, they're going to overwhelm their competitors when it's done right. And then people will see the power of it. Right now, all this stuff, like I said, is happening that we're trying to build. And the government can go and look at it anytime they want, and it doesn't seem to have much impact. So I don't think that's the way to move forward.
You guys, you have to understand here. For me, I just want to explain something. I don't know if my brain is working right today. I did mushrooms yesterday. I'm trying to quit smoking. I'm trying to quit smoking. I did a really I did 3.5 grams of mushrooms yesterday, and I had a really bad trip.
Oh shit!
Yeah, it was.
Did you go to heaven and hell? Did you go to heaven and hell?
More hell, far more hell.
Did the sky melt?
Time melted. Everything melted. So anyway, I may not be thinking really, really clearly here today. I did this to quit smoking. It's a trick I've done in the past. When you do mushrooms at a high enough level, you lose all your cravings for different things. And I get 3 days where I don't crave cigarettes if I do mushrooms. So anyway, I just mentioned that to say that I'm just not thinking straight here today. I'm not quite understanding what you're saying there, Ernst.
I'm talking about empowering businesses to work collaboratively. That means taking our desire for direct democracy and focusing it on something smaller that can work, that can empower people and make people aware of the power of this type of interaction in groups.
So you're talking about doing scaling it down, doing it in a test environment or something like that.
Doing it in a way that I think will have an impact more so than a test environment. Because I think what we're trying to do is just going to be as ignored as any other attempts to do similar things have always been ignored. Like I said, the AI is there. Governments could use it to figure out what the people are thinking, but it doesn't have an impact. So my feeling is stay away from government and work on what runs government business. So we start small businesses. We encourage them to work collaboratively. We get them software that helps them do that. We teach them how to do that, and we support them till they're doing it themselves. And then they will hopefully be happy and donate money to us and our troop of whoever we have that will be building this software.
Can we break this down even further? So let's look at a specific industry. You're making shoes, right?
Shoes?
Shoes. Let's
okay.
Let's pick something. How do they work our system into their system? I don't quite understand.
Any business, you have to have man hours in it or it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So what happens is man hours get recorded that are contributed, and they are directly related to how much of the business you own. So that closes any doors from outside money influencing how this business works. And the only thing that can influence how the business works is now the consensus of the people who work there.
All right, so let's.
It's all explained. Did you read my book? It's all explained in there in a chapter called Business First.
Okay, you're talking about cooperative businesses here specifically, right?
I call them collaborative, but yeah, same word.
Yeah. Okay. I still don't. I just can't picture it in my mind how this works. You know, we have the dilemma of like Reddit. Reddit was not interesting until everybody got on Reddit. You know, and they had that dilemma of at the beginning of nobody was there, so why would anybody come?
I don't think that's a dream worth chasing. There are 8 billion people in this world. We are not going to be the group that all the world is part of that easily. We will have so much competition, it will not hardly be worth doing. But helping businesses operate collaboratively, there's actually an opening that is not being done much that I can see, and it's possible to do that.
I don't see how it would work within a business. How an individual.
Well, you have never spent time thinking about it. So I suggest you read. Well, then think a little more, because I think it would work. Read my book, Business First, the chapter called Business First in my book. And there's a couple of chapters you might need to read just ahead of that to help you understand what that one's talking about. But it is absolutely possible, and I do believe it will work. And it's not simple. Nor have I laid it all out. It's more complicated than what I'm saying, but I believe that the possibility is there, and that possibility is much, much more available than what we're trying to be the database of the world or whatever.
Ernst, what you're saying is possible. You're describing cooperative businesses, and you're claiming that the cooperative businesses are possible, which I agree. Yes, I think we should have far more cooperative businesses out there. Good. Putting the KAOS system into the cooperative businesses.
No, forget the KAOS system. It's all different.
That's what I'm talking about. Okay, so you're not talking about the KAOS system at all here. You're just talking about.
He never was. Businesses. I think, Brian, you got confused.
I'm saying the KAOS system. The KAOS system is just mimicking what's already happening, and there's not much point trying to rebuild it, because it's almost nearly impossible. And it's why would something that's already happening need to be rebuilt? And even if we do rebuild it and get on top of the world, we'll be hammered with all the same pressures that keep the original one, the one that's existing now, as twisted as it is. We won't be able to do much from that. But if we take the power of democracy and find a way to give it to small businesses, small groups of people, I think that will have an impact on the world. That's how.
Are you familiar with Richard Wolff and Democracy at Work?
What ideas of his are you talking about?
Do you know him? Do you know who I'm talking about?
I want to know what ideas of his are you talking about?
Well, he promotes democracy at work, creating cooperative businesses. And
yes, that's good.
And so have you heard of him? Richard Wolff, have you heard of him?
I believe I have come across his name before, but I do not think I've spent a whole lot of time looking at his work.
Okay. He's called Democracy. He has an organization that's called Democracy at Work. And he's a socialist. He's promoting socialist programs how to run a business.
I remember now. His idea is to infuse democracy in existing organizations. And that's why I stopped reading him, because I think that the best way would be to start new organizations or completely convert an organization to 100% democracy. He is just trying to infuse it without really changing ownership. My idea requires an ownership change. And that is a big difference between our work, or my ideas, and his ideas.
Well, I would say that he promotes both. You know, he would like to see, he talks about existing businesses, but he also talks about starting new businesses. And, you know,
But I don't think he talks about starting new businesses in the same context that I have of equal ownership.
I'm pretty sure he has, really. Anyway,
If you can send me a link of something that shows that.
Yeah. In any case, this is getting far off of the KAOS thing here. So what you're talking about, cooperative businesses run, but it has nothing to do with KAOS.
But it has everything to do with why we are here. And that is because we are trying to push direct democracy forward.
Yes, I understand where you're coming from, but it sounds like a whole nother project.
It is. It absolutely is a whole different project.
We're here to push this project, Ernst. If I wanted to push democracy at work, I would join Richard Wolff.
Well, you told me that this was you told me that this was a democratic group, and you seem to be dictating everything.
I don't see how he's dictating.
Yeah.
I don't
well, he just did.
What are you guys arguing?
He just did.
Can you guys clarify?
He just did. He just did. He just did. He just did dictate it.
I don't know. You call that dictating? I don't call it.
What do you call it?
I just
laying down the law, telling you how it is.
You're telling me what you think about cooperative businesses. That's not dictating. I'm telling you about what I think we should be doing. That's not dictating. You're telling me what you think we should be doing, and I'm telling you what I think we should be doing.
No, Brian.
Neither of us are dictating.
Brian, with all due respect, I told you what I thought we should do, and you told me what we are doing, and that is the tone. You could look at the tape later and see it, but that's absolutely the tone.
I think there's a big misunderstandings between all of us right now.
Well, there is definitely some conflict going on.
Yeah. Well, it's mostly
I don't need you guys to just move over to my ideas that I just told you about, but I would like it if you would think about it and give it some consideration, and we'll bring it up later.
So here's what I think Ernst is saying, or was saying, which is we should think about the goal of what KAOS is, and then also think about all the other things people might want to do in favor of that goal. The goal being more direct democracy. KAOS is trying to do something. Ernst is mentioning another thing other than KAOS that's also working towards that goal. Am I understanding right?
Yeah, I think you're understanding.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't feel conflict.
I will put a text of what of something like of what I said on the KAOS site.
And it's not like Ernst was trying to
on the Reddit.
Yeah, and it's not like Ernst was trying to say KAOS needs to be something different. That's not what he was saying. I think that's how
I was. Kind of I was.
Oh, you were?
I think he was. Yeah, he's saying
kind of I was.
He's saying drop this project and go on to another.
Go on to one that I think will have an impact.
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
Yes, honestly, I've been here for a few weeks, and I've been looking at this topic for many years, and I believe that what I said makes a lot of sense. I'm going to put some writing about it on the KAOS Now Reddit, and I hope you guys will look at it and consider it, because I think it might really be the way to get on the map.
And Ernst, you can do that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm involved in more than one project. You're talking about just another project. I'm involved in two projects. We can have 5
that's
projects.
right. That's right.
Yes. And these projects can be working together. I mean, the two I'm involved in, I see them as working together. I'm imagining, Ernst, you're saying, or maybe I'm wrong, that the thing you're talking about and KAOS, they don't conflict. They can be working together.
They have the same end goal in mind, for sure. They both want to promote direct democracy, and they're both doing it as best as they can see. And
well, sometimes people can have the same goal, but then conflicting methods.
They could certainly be parallel streams. There's no reason that neither of them has to be done, or either of them has to be done over the other. But never mind working it out right now. Maybe the ideas when you contemplate them will just sound stupid, but I suggest you read the two books before the Business First, Safety First, and the chapter just before those two. And that'll give you a really kind of more in-depth, as far as I've thought it out, look at what I'm trying to do. I think it's a real opportunity and worth consideration.
And it might be something where KAOS can help contribute the system itself, or let me say it this way, where people
We
do
get used.
the project could use KAOS to help it.
If this worked the way I think it works, and a collaborative group of, say, 4 drywallers beat out some old drywall hierarchy guy and just made more money for themselves based on how much it costs to have the work done, then they would be more cost effective, and that group would grow, and that would show the world the power of collaboration in business. And I think we have a much better chance of having that slip by the ogres that control this world than we do of trying to just be the world advisor to the government, you know?
Yeah. Ernst, I would agree with you in a lot of ways. I've always wanted to start a cooperative business. I do, obviously, because you only need, the people in the business to believe in it. So it's much easier than, building the KAOS system we're talking about, taking over the entire world here. It is by far a more reasonable angle to go at. And but still, I have not managed to do it. I've been wanting to start a cooperative business. I ran my own business for 10 years. I wanted to change it into a cooperative business. There's I screwed up in a lot of ways. There might have been ways to do it, and I did not do it right. But anyway, I ended up selling that business and got out of that. But it's always been a big dream of mine to set up a cooperative business. And
It's tough.
It is. It's tough. It's
So
not
Brian,
that
let me
easy.
ask you, when you had that business that you tried to make cooperative or whatever, if KAOS existed, could you have used KAOS to help you?
Oh, possibly. But, we're only talking, 4 or 5 people. So, it's not like we're having problems communicating and we need a method to communicate,
Yeah, I agree. You wouldn't really need it in that small a group.
Okay, so it would have to be cooperatives that are a lot bigger, like 1,000 people.
Yeah.
Well, you could use it in that smaller group.
Yeah.
And I think that would help the group get past what are normal growth problems in businesses.
Maybe.
And
It
so
even might
therefore,
help-
what you said,
It
But
even
anyway,
might help the size that we have right here of 3 people.
Yeah.
possibly.
So anyway, the point I was getting to is that, so cooperative business is a great angle, but it's, and I think it should be promoted. What do you call it? I support Richard Wolf and his endeavors in cooperative businesses and democracy at work.
He's definitely on the right track.
Yeah, all these things are on the right track, but that's still kind of separate from what I'm trying to do here. And this is an entirely.
I realize that, Brian.
Yeah.
I realize that. It's completely different. But just humor me and read the thing I'm going to put on Reddit and give it a week or two to mellow around in your brain and see what comes of it.
Okay.
Is all I ask.
Okay, so can we get back to trying to rewrite the website?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm up to that really right now. I think I want to think about it. I'm gonna have to look at it and maybe...
At least read what I wrote. I'll read it out loud.
All right.
Building a system for direct democracy.
Okay.
Think of it as a layer of democracy over all existing governments around the world. It's a database of public opinion without censorship or any kind of systemic control of ideas. A rating system for everything. A collective bargaining tool. A worldwide human union.
Yeah.
And anyway, that's a starting point.
That's kind of a mouthful.
Huh?
That's kind of a mouthful. I wanted to talk about a little bit about, bring up direct democracy. direct democracy, I've been kind of avoiding it, using the term. And that's because people have all these preconceived ideas about direct democracy. And, I've been trying to avoid those preconceived ideas. And, and also because although we are moving in the direction of direct democracy, the KAOS system is definitely moving in that direction. It's not tied directly to any governing systems. So, we're with the lawmakers still have to pass the laws. Hopefully that we're influencing them, but we're not, they're not doing exactly what we vote for, right? So, anyway, I worry about the term direct democracy a little bit. People think of referendums as direct democracy. And that's one of the first things that a lot of people think of when you think direct democracy, more referendums.
And you don't want them to think that?
I don't want them to think that, because referendums are not actually what I consider a good form of direct democracy, because somebody else puts together the question. Somebody else decides what the issue is. We're not involved in everything up.
Yeah, but you can think of a better referendum.
Yes. Yeah. Well, this is what I mean. I have to re-explain to people, though, what a proper referendum would be.
You're afraid if you say direct democracy, that sticks ideas in their head you don't want stuck in their head.
That's first thing that comes to their head is Brexit. First thing. That's
so then just this, building a system to improve democracy?
Did you say breakfast?
No,
Brexit.
Brexit.
Oh.
Yes.
Well, you have to understand that direct democracy is an affront to the powers that be, and that there will be much framing of it in a bad way if it's even a little bit possible.
And that's
So
my
you
point,
can't
though,
really-
is it's with examples like Brexit, it's really easy for them to paste us with that.
Well,
You know?
Brexit, I don't know what Brexit is. I'm not Britain. I'm not there.
I've done a lot of study on it.
Yeah, but Brexit has been just, as far as I can tell, it's just been a circus. It's not been anything that has any impact on anything.
Well, it does. They stopped. They don't. It impacted all their trade, and
So they punished them for it.
Yeah, and then all the it affected their trade. It affected their immigration. It affected. They can no longer free flow through the European Union. They
well, Brexit was a resistance to centralization, and centralization is always empire's idea. And so I can hardly say Brexit was a bad idea, because I saw that part of it. And then once they won the Brexit, then they started punishing them.
Yeah, well, Brexit was a made-up issue. They had a bunch of issues, and they piled them all together because the politician at the time said, I'm going to make this question I'm going to make the answer so obvious that people will only vote against it. He thought that if he put everything together, people would have to vote against Brexit.
Well, that's a real problem with most existing kind of democratic action.
Well, this is my point exactly. So they really fucked up Brexit. The politicians created Brexit. They made it, and then it backfired on them. They were trying to control the narrative, and then it backfired, and it went totally the other way. And all those politicians quit. They quit because of that. And so now a whole new government has to come in and clean up the mess, and it start from where they left off with this whole stupid Brexit thing that should have never existed. They should have been tackling each of the individual issues one by one. They should not have lumped them all together. And second, right after Brexit, there was a poll taken asking the people if they felt that Brexit even should have been a question that they were answering. And it was like something like 80% of all people said, we shouldn't have been answering that question. We were not qualified.
Yeah. Still, I still feel like there's two sides to every situation. And I don't know enough about it to really comment either way.
So anyway,
Brexit in my mind is a good thing to constantly publicize about how bad it is to give the people control over their lives. And to me, that is part and parcel of the political dynamic of this world.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what I'm trying to avoid. because that's
Well,
exactly.
but we're building that. We're building that.
I
A
know.
direct democracy, as far as not liking direct democracy, I can understand it's got some connotations by now because it's been so much struggling through the mud. But it's the technology. And when technology is good, it has to be invisible. So that term has to fade at some point. And we have to talk about things like democratic action, democratic agency. How democratic is this system and stuff like that?
By the way, Brian can't dictate because the other two people can kick him out.
That's right. I only got one vote here.
Well, I'm not talking about any votes. I was just talking about what I saw going on. That's all.
Well, you're assuming I have too much power here, Ernst. I don't have that kind of power.
Well, I mean, I have to go at face value, right?
I do get excited about things. Don't make that mistake of thinking that it's I'm demanding anything.
You're telling us don't do whatever you're dictating. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm not dictating anything. I'm just getting excited. That's all.
Should I send
hopefully,
this?
Hopefully, you'll get
Edward?
excited about my ideas. Did you send what?
Should I send this to Edward to have him update the site just for now until you guys make it better? Too?
I suppose.
Get that overall. That's the wrong words.
Huh? What?
A layer of democracy overall existing government system. I don't know. That's kind of challenging. That's kind of like
yeah, it is.
It has to be a source of information for all existing government systems around the world. I don't think we're big enough to start, wearing such big shoes. The source of information for all existing governing systems. All. Yes. Excellent.
What do you think, Brian?
Let's go with it for now. Yeah.
Does this need any qualifiers?
I don't know.
Better not. Well, you
What
can
else?
if you want, but
I mean, the qualifiers are here.
yes.
Let's just leave that for now. What else has he got on the website? Did he put the introduction and all that on the website?
There's your first essay.
Okay. All right. So all that's there.
It's long. And then I don't see the second essay. And then if you do, this is just blog. Let's see. If you click blog, my guess is he didn't do a bunch of work on this. So
Yeah.
I don't know how do I go back. Let's see. Back. Yeah.
So the how it works isn't in there at all yet.
No, it just looks like the one essay.
How it works is here.
Oh.
There's a link to it.
Oh, he put it all into one thing, I think.
What is KAOS and how it
continuously.
works? Ah, it is. The link just takes you back to the same page that it's from. So that was awesome.
So about the introduction, I've gotten quite a few people have mentioned to me how negative it is. Do you think there's a possibility I could write that thing in a way that sounds positive?
Have you asked ChatGPT?
No, I worry about using ChatGPT. I don't know.
Use DeepSeek then.
It doesn't really matter which one. I have a hard time reading through material, and if it's very similar material, trying to pick out the differences. So like if I write something, I get ChatGPT to write something, and I read them both, I don't really see the difference. Like I'll see differences, but
ask ChatGPT, what differences do you see?
Yeah.
Well, I guess before you write anything, you got to ask yourself what the purpose of writing it is.
Yeah. Well,
you can go through that thing and say, how much of this is actually important to the purpose of writing this?
I struggle writing in general, you guys. I don't. You guys don't. I don't think you understand how big of a struggle it is for me. And then trying to comprehend. I don't comprehend the written word very well, and so reading over my own stuff is always difficult. If I read over somebody else's, the nuances, I lose it. And, if I'll get a hint of something, maybe I should change this and go over here. But by the time I read that again and see how I want to change it, I've lost the original idea of what I was looking for. I don't know how to explain.
Which paragraph are you talking about? Or which one are you worried about?
The introduction. So the introduction, I'm sure there's ways I could tweak it to make it more.
Can you look on the screen?
Yeah. Okay.
This is the introduction, right?
Yeah. No, that's the instructions. That's the how it works.
So that's the second essay.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not even here. Let me go on the Reddit and find it.
It's the one where I talk about technology.
There's some technology we encourage and others we
yeah.
And then you talk about the weapons and deadly technology.
Now I'm using some scare tactics there, right? Because I really think they apply. But like I said, people have talked about how maybe I could change it somehow so it seems more positive.
Did they have another idea of what to say?
Well, they talked about emphasizing how great things will be when we get the KAOS system, or how great,
You mean the positives?
Yeah, emphasizing the positives.
Lose the psychological manipulation tactics.
I personally, though, if you look at anybody trying to push an idea of any kind, they almost always use the negative.
Well, that is their problem.
Yeah, but it does work, doesn't it?
I don't care. I wouldn't have it tied to something that came out of my face.
You don't like using negativity at all?
I think it's just a way to avoid the facts.
I'd like to make a clarification on this.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Most of the people in the world, what I notice when they think of the word optimism or the concept, they think of it like we're guaranteed gonna have a better future in the future. And I learned from David Deutsch his concept of optimism, which is that we can have a better future. We might not. We have to do the right things to make the better future. And then there's the pessimists there's two versions of those, which is it's guaranteed going to be bad in the future. And then it's like, well, it could be better, but it's too hard. Let's give up or something like that. And the way David Deutsch talks about it, he says the principle of optimism is all problems can be solved. Any problem is solvable. It just takes the right knowledge, and any of us can gain that knowledge. And he goes further to say every human can do this. Every human has the capacity. So maybe that's the way we should be talking about it. Be optimistic without being the irrational. It's guaranteed going to be better in the future.
Guaranteed. We should talk like it's guaranteed.
No, the opposite. I said we should avoid the stupid optimism of it's guaranteed going to be better in the future.
But typically that is the direction it's been going.
Yes, it has, and we should be clear about that, and that's why we should have reason for optimism. That's what we've been doing. Shit's been getting better. Maybe pockets, some stuff's getting worse.
You know, when I think about the introduction that I wrote there, to me it is optimistic because I am talking about, I'm how things are going bad, but then we can make it better.
But you say it at the end of the essay before you mention the optimism part of it.
Yeah.
Because when you start reading it, it's not obvious that you're saying we can fix this. You know what I mean?
And that's where I think maybe we can improve it, right?
Yeah.
We're coming in early that we're going to fix it.
Maybe in the here, let me put this on the screen. Maybe in the very first paragraph, right here, there's some technology we encourage, others we discourage, and then there's the ones that can kill us, and we put the most effort into those, and then maybe you add, let's fucking change this.
Yeah.
Or we can change this.
Yeah.
Or, some sentence, even if it's very short.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah. And end it with a higher note. Yeah.
Yeah. Just right here, the sentence right here. And then later in the essay, you're explaining that one little sentence in a lot of detail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go over it, guys, and I'll see if I can make it more uplifting. You guys all agree it needs to be more positive, eh?
Yeah. I don't know about positive or negative, but it would sure help if you went through it a few times and just you got a word processor, just change little things, move little things around.
You have
get
to
rid of things.
You have to realize I've done a lot of this already. There has to
keep
be a
at
point
it.
that I stop.
Keep at it. You said you're new to writing, so you just need more practice. You got your ideas.
I'm complaining about this because I want you guys to do the writing.
I can't. I looked at it, Brian. I just ended up with something completely different.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, that's kind of the problem. Yeah.
And with the changes that I tried to make, and instead of you working on that, you just started over, and then I tried to make changes, and then you started over again. So I don't know how to help like that.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the things I've written that have turned out to be very well received, I have usually gotten rid of more than half of it after writing it.
That's usually my process, but I think it just keep reducing and reducing is what I usually do.
Reduce it to a point where it just says the necessary things.
Yeah. Okay.
And the only reason you would go into more detail is if you think some of the audience doesn't understand you from the first general statement.
Yeah. If everybody talks about narrative, eh? If you keep reducing it, you're losing narrative too, eh?
But you're not trying to present a narrative. You're trying to present your ideas and your possibilities. The narrative
it has to be done in a narrative kind of way.
A lot of people think that, but I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's what everybody.
A narrative has a way of making it less concise.
It is less concise, yes.
But you don't like.
But
if you're selling something, then it helps to have all these kind of narratives. I think they're kind of manipulative.
Well, it is, and it helps you keep it in your mind, though. We hold on.
If it was a good idea, it wouldn't need help.
So, if we hold on to concepts in our mind in a narrative form, this is why they talk about this. Point blank facts just don't stick in our head. A story sticks in your head, right?
It has a better chance of sticking in your head.
Yes. Well, a better chance is a better chance.
Better chance is a better chance, but you can't just rule out all the other ways of remembering things.
Well, yeah, I don't know.
Or
I think we need better experts. I don't think you're the expert in that area, Ernst. And
my expert,
I'm not an expert.
My expert statement on memory is it's more about getting it out of there than putting it in. Focus on finding ways to get it out because it's already in.
But I gotta get it into somebody else's head.
Most memory courses and stuff, they all talk about how to pound that thing into your head. I don't think that's the problem. The problem is access. That's what needs to be focused on. That's what gives you a better memory.
You're going the opposite way of what everybody else says all the time, though, and that makes.
What do they say?
I do, because most of the time they're saying things that are less than helpful.
What do they say?
Not what everybody says, just what the mainstream says.
Yeah.
They say that to improve your memory, you have to learn to really memorize things, right? I say
repetition.
Retarded.
Repetition. There's all kinds of tricks. I say that you should focus on getting information out of your head, because soon as you're aware of it, you form memories, unless you're in a state of trauma or something like that. So it's in your head. And instead of teaching people to put stuff in their head harder than ever, we need to teach people to access what's already there.
Well, what we're trying to do, though, is put something new into people's heads. They don't have it in their head already.
Yeah, but when you say it once, it's there, and the rest is just harassing them.
Yeah, funny way of putting things.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm taking what you're saying, Ernst. I don't want to say that I'm dismissing it at all, but I do want to point out almost everybody says narrative is the way to get it into people's heads.
What do you mean by narrative, though?
I mean,
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that, but at the same time, I'm a little wary of it for the reasons I've stated.
Mean, Brian? I don't know what you mean.
Well, like if we're talking about, I want you to remember, a couple of numbers like 7, 8, and 9, right? And I want you to remember those numbers, 7, 8, and 9. If I make up a story about how 7, 8, 9, why is 7 scared of 9? Why is 9 scared of 7?
Yeah, but we don't want to do funny tricks for KAOS, right?
Huh?
That sounds like a funny trick. We don't want to do funny tricks for KAOS, right?
No, but the point is, though, if you tell a story, like I just told you, this stupid little joke about the three numbers, right? Those 3 numbers are now stuck in your head because you always remember. You're going to, if I just to give you 3 numbers, like for me specifically, I know you give me 3 numbers, 2 minutes from now, I don't remember what they are. Right? You tell me a story about how 7, 8, 9,
but what
7 scary, and all of a sudden this little rhyme thing is in my head. That's in there for good.
Oh, I mean, that sounds like you're arguing that when we write this essay, we should do a little bit of, artistic license. I agree with that.
Well, it's all I'm saying is try to, try to make it more story-like. Now, I think
there's plenty of narrative in this.
I think there is a little bit already. Adding more would add more narrative. I mean, it is possible to get more narrative into it. I'm not.
Yeah, wouldn't interest me.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm not saying about the. This introduction here. My only point was Ernst had got into the whole breaking it down, and get it down to its minimal, right? That all the information is there and just that. And my point I wanted to make, and I'm not talking about the introduction here specifically. I'm just saying as a general statement, that does not stick in people's heads very well. And you are better to add, and I'm not saying. I'm just giving the argument.
Well, I'm calling that the minimum.
Huh?
That is the minimum.
What is the minimum?
The thing you're about to say.
I would say.
You get it?
I would say.
You're saying you need to add narrative to get it to stick in their head. And I'm saying that is the minimum.
How about
Yeah. Okay.
How
That
about
is
this?
the new. No, the minimum is something that's just the data, and it does not end up sticking in your head.
No, I think the way Ernst would say it. I'm sorry if I'm speaking beyond
I think you're putting things
what
in
I'm,
Ernst's head.
what you said. But I think what Ernst is saying is you have to consider the goal of the writing, and then the minimum is whatever achieves that fucking goal.
Okay,
I
how
think
about
that's what
this,
Ernst-
guys? Guys, how about this? How about an article starts with bullet points? That
Yeah.
it's all there in the bullet points,
That's
and then put all the narrative you want afterwards, like
And
stories, examples, stuff like that.
that's the way I
Then
actually.
it pleases both types of customer, right? The guy who just wants the facts, and the guy who wants to get into the more details of
Yeah.
the experience, I guess.
That's kind of what I recommended about how to write the essay. You start with an outline, and that's a list of bullet points.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, excellent.
I mean, generally you do that anyway, just writing anything.
Well, it's sort of.
Sometimes we just freeform, it's just a train of thought, and you write it all down, and you weren't making a list, and you weren't making an outline. And sometimes that can produce good things that you want to keep later, but I don't think it's a good way to write a long essay because it's, because there wasn't a lot of organization in that process.
Well, a long essay would have to have a reason to be long. So it would need a lot more details and a few bullet proofs to justify
anyway,
the long essay.
Anyway, we're getting off topic here in the sense that we're talking about how to write an essay. I've already got this one written now. I'm just planning on tweaking this. I'm not going to start right off and write a whole new thing here. And I did not.
It's good in general.
And I did not put a lot of effort into narrative here or anything like that. I think I did try to keep it down to a basic as much as I could. I'm sure Ernst thinks it could be cut out a lot more, but
it's knowledge and communication technology that gives people power. This is often referred to as the noosphere, like the biosphere, but for all knowledge and communication. Unfortunately, this is one of the technologies we, as in all of us, so that's the whole story.
Yeah, but I think they need to know what the noosphere is, eh?
Do you? I think they know what cyberspace is, and how is a noosphere different?
Noosphere is all human knowledge, regardless of if it came on the internet or not.
Well, but now it's pretty much all sitting on the internet, isn't it?
I wouldn't say that.
I wouldn't bet on it, but I would say it.
By the way, would you guys include? So, in my terminology, and I didn't invent this. Human knowledge includes all of human intuition, also, and that's not even in words. So it's definitely not on the internet.
Okay, now we're just going off into a different direction, which I don't say I mind, but I do agree with what you said, but I don't think that will have a lot of impact on what we're doing.
I think we're arguing a lot about little nuances here.
It's important that we get to know what's going on.
I mean, what we're saying here is whether or not to use the term noosphere, and then whether or not to explain it. And here's the point. Some people who care about this, who would care about this project, already know about the noosphere. Others don't. So which audience are you speaking to? Maybe both. Well, one reason to mention noosphere is there are people that are aware of it, and that would interest them in this.
It rings true for them, for the ones that know about it already.
Yes.
I don't think other terms fit as well, like cyber.
I think you should actually be using all of them, including things like non-zero sum.
Like what?
And maybe that should be a different essay that mentions that. I don't know. Maybe this one. I don't know.
Mentions what?
Like the concept of non-zero sum.
Oh yeah. Okay. I don't mention that in there, do I?
I don't think you do.
No, I don't think I do.
Nope.
We can't be trying to teach everybody a million new terms though, eh? So you do have to keep that to a
Well,
minimum.
you can mention it without teaching it.
Can you? Can I say things that people don't understand though?
Well, when you say often referred to as noosphere, you already explained what it is. So for the people that don't know the term, I wouldn't care. I would just keep reading. Doesn't bother me.
Yeah, but you were talking about a new phrase.
I'm saying if noosphere was new to me and I saw that term the way it is used in this sentence, I wouldn't care that I don't know that term, because all you did was you said a sentence and then you said some people call this a term, which I don't care about.
Yeah.
But it doesn't bother me. It's not going to affect my reading of the essay, not knowing that term.
Yeah. Well, so I could skip the explanation there entirely, is what you're saying.
No, you might want to leave it in. I don't know. What, Ernst?
It's just if you're trying to make this a tighter document, I don't think anything in the intent of the document is going to be lost by not having that there.
Do we need it tighter though? I think I kept it pretty short, compared to everything that's in there.
I think that to the point, especially put the bulletproofs to me, in my mind, put the bullet points at the top of it and then say whatever you want. I could care less. It won't matter. The point is that you need it. There's two types of people: the people that want to go through all that and the people that just want to know what's happening fast. And so they're both served by that.
I don't see how you can get the concept with just bullet points. I really
You don't get the concept with some people do though. Okay. And so put the bulletproof points first, and then they can read it and go do something else. And the rest of the people can pour over the whole thing. And if that's what they need, then it's there for them.
So the people that already understand what the bullet points are, they're the ones who would just read the bullet points.
Yeah, because of their, well, however, like they're already thinking when they came into the game, right? Some people have thought of all this stuff, others haven't.
Well, I don't even know how I would put that. The introduction, it's not all bullet points. It's kind of, I don't know.
I know, but you gotta make it that.
Well, I don't know.
You
I can look at that, Ernst. I can look at that. Maybe you could try that too. Maybe you could send me what you think is a made up a set of bullet points that you think explains everything. There.
I did.
Did you?
I wrote it. That thing I wrote, that pretty much covers it as far as I could.
What thing that you wrote?
Call to arms. Call to action, I mean.
The book
on the
wrote?
Reddit, on the KAOS now.
He means the post on Reddit that was to design a post for attracting people, and he made a bullet listed point.
Yes.
Okay. Let me go over that.
Read that.
Yeah. Okay. I'll go over that, Ernst.
Okay.
All right. So where are we at right now? What are we doing next?
One thing I'll say is, regardless of how good or not as good the essay could be, post it the way it is. Worry about improving it later. I mean, there's other things we could be working on instead. You might be changing it 5 times every 6 months for the next 4 years.
I certainly don't want to do that. I want to concentrate on trying to market this thing. So we need to move on to that. So
we don't have nothing to market.
Yeah, well, we have the concept. I know that you don't think I could write it better, but
well, you're gonna need to find better salespeople than me to sell anything. Honestly,
yeah. Well,
I find sales to be.
Ernst, I get somebody at least every 2 weeks to join our group. So
where are they all today?
What's that?
Where'd they all go today?
I don't know. I don't know where they all went.
Disappointed them by not having a meeting last week, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what
About a month
Robbie was
ago,
saying.
maybe a little bit longer, Brian, you had 2 new people in the same week, and
Yeah.
then neither of them showed up. And then no, 70 was one of them. He showed up.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. There was
Let's hope
another
he shows
guy.
up again. He's very educated.
Yeah, I would like him to be a big part of this. There was another guy that same week, and he got a hold of me again this week, and through on Reddit, and we spoke a little bit, and then he deleted his username on all of our communications. So I don't know if he's going to show up here or not.
That
He
means
was
like
one
he
of the
blocked
people.
you?
Huh?
That means
What's
like he
that?
blocked you?
No, he just deleted his username. I could still see all the conversations and everything, but he deleted his username. So that was the same thing that Brian L. did. Remember, I was all wondering what the hell Brian L. did, and when he first joined our group, and then all of a sudden he deleted his username.
I don't remember that.
No, and I remember I was wondering what the hell if he was going to show up, but he did show up at the meeting, Brian L. And we've been at several of the meetings, and anyway, he told me later that he had changed his username because he didn't feel that. I don't even remember what it was, but he said that he didn't think he should use that username associated with this project because maybe it was a crude name or something. I don't know. Maybe it was more of a trolling term. I'm not sure why. But anyway, so he had deleted everything. So maybe this is the same thing. I don't know. But I was hoping he'd be here at the meeting today, but he's not. So I can't really ask him. Speaking of which, Brian L. does not seem to be coming forward with, if you're sick again, Rami, we need somebody to hold these meetings, eh? So Brian L. was supposed to be our backup for that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if we need to. He's not showing up to many of these meetings, so I don't know if he's a good candidate for this. I don't know.
We could have more than just 2 anyway.
Yeah, we could.
Probably
yeah.
2 isn't even enough, but
Yeah.
The free version of StreamYard lets you have 2 people in the same account. And here's the thing: each one of us could be making accounts, so there's multiple.
Yeah,
but it would be better if it's all on one account.
Well, I'm going to put out another. I think I'll put out an email this week to all the people that are supposed to be showing up at these meetings, and asking for somebody else to volunteer here for this part, eh? And maybe take a bit of a roll call as far as or is everybody still involved here? We haven't heard from some people for a long time. And take a bit of a roll call. What can we expect, or do we have access?
Sending everyone an email and them replying is good enough. If they don't reply, then they're out.
That's right. Yeah, I think we'll kind of get a wake up call from people and just kind of get a good number of how many people are involved here and stuff like that. So, okay. Is there I got off topic there. Are we done with this, or?
I think so.
Yeah. One other thing I'd like to talk about, if I could bring it up, is we've talked about money before, and eventually we'll have to get to a point where we start asking for money. This is just a thought. It has nothing to do with, this is not urgent or anything like that. But I know in one of the earlier meetings we had, we were talking about eventually, trying to raise some funds. And I was just wanted to suggest that I feel really funny when it gets to the point that we're going to start asking for money for people to donate money, right? Put into some kind of fund. And to me, that's going to be a very touchy area. I think we should just possibly, what do they call it? There's a term for it. Pledge. So we start by trying to get people to pledge money to the group, to the system. And when it reaches a certain amount, and we have, so that we have, a goal that we want to spend this money on or what have you, and we need, let's say, $100,000 before we can, sign up the servers or whatever and actually start building this thing. we get people to just pledge up until that point, and they don't put actually any money in. I don't want to take any money from anybody until we're ready to actually spend it on something. I don't know. Is that making any sense to you guys what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yep,
So-
it does actually. A lot less paperwork.
Yeah. So at first, I think we'll start to do pledges, and then and then when we see a goal, and then when we get a certain, we'll kind of set a goal at 100,000, let's say, and once we get 100,000 in pledges, and then we're ready to make a purchase or spend money on something, that's when we start asking people to actually put the money in. Okay? Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I just want to put that out there. That could be an initial stage before we actually start asking for actual money. Would you just be starting with pledges? So anyway, I just want to throw that out there. What else is there? There's something else I did want to talk about. Is there, what else we need to cover here? Anything else?
I mean, it's what we did is fine, and I don't mind ending early. I'm gonna write what you just said: funding, idea, pledging only first.
Yeah. And we may not expect that, people will pledge money and some won't give, but at least they give us some indication of where we're at.
All right. So by the way, I set up next week's StreamYard and the calendar invite.
Okay.
And we should put in here. We should put in here. Do a roll call.
Yes.
So hopefully I'll remember to do that, and I'll email everyone.
Are you doing that, or am I doing it?
Well, what do you think? Maybe it's better if you do it because you're the founder. I don't know.
I had suggested it, so I thought I would be doing it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll try to put something together on that. So yeah. Anyway, yeah. So
You know how to
yeah,
easily get all the emails?
yeah, well, it's on that StreamYard, right? The StreamYard you send me, or the what do you call
Well,
it?
the calendar invite that I send
Yeah.
has it all in there.
Yeah, you send them to everybody all at once, right? So it's that group email will also, I can get all the email addresses off of that.
Yeah, you can copy paste, hopefully.
Yeah.
All
Off the
one
CCs.
copy paste, not one individually.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, I'll figure it out.
If you have
I'll
trouble,
figure
let
it
me
out.
know, or and if you can't do it, I'll do it.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so we end here.
All right. Yeah, I think we'll end here. My head's
Okay,
not.
guys.
I want to apologize, guys. I don't think my head was entirely here today.
I think your brain was fine. I think
I
you're
don't
maybe
think-
doing some placebo effect.
Yeah. Anyway, well, I'll try to do better next week. All right, guys.
All right, guys.
See you later, Rami, Brian.
Bye.
All right.
Take it
Have a good
easy.
night, guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.